So yesterday was February 2nd, 2020. 8 years since I injured my back to the day. Um, 8 years and 2 weeks or so since my mom died. A couple weeks after my ex-wife Kindy's birthday. And I went over to my former mother-in-law's house to pray with my mother-in-law, hopefully offer her some encouragement, um, share some things with her. And then I went and prayed with my ex-wife, the mother of my two oldest children. And it was very sad seeing her not who she really is, even, and definitely not who she was. She fell victim to alcoholism and drug abuse. And we got married in May of 1996. I was 20 and a half, basically, and she was 22. A few months later, our daughter Kylie was born. And somewhere within a couple of years of our marriage, she changed. And she fell victim to just a disease, and a deadly disease that she couldn't beat and she couldn't get over. Seeing her jaundiced and mostly unconscious, she opened her eyes and she looked at me. She looked at Kylie and she closed her eyes, and I think she tried to talk. I don't think she was angry. I hope not. And it's really hard, even though we haven't been married for 19 years now or so, 20 years. Someone that you cared about and that you felt you loved enough to make a commitment and to take a vow before God and friends and family that you would love, honor, and cherish till death do you part, and to have that end in divorce, and um, all of those things, but you still have a care or a compassion or an empathy for. And I was telling her mom that the woman laying in there is not necessarily the little girl that she knew, and it's not even who she is. The disease of alcoholism took over. And there's quite a few things that went through my mind that were trying to say, one, to encourage and hopefully bring a little peace to both Kindy and her mom. I don't know if this totally makes sense for many people, but it does for me. And it can bring me, hopefully, a little bit of understanding into the grace and the goodness of God. You see, we tend to judge things or look at things and test things and hold on to evidence that we have. We can look at someone and say, oh, they're a good person. Look at all these good things that they do. Or we can look at someone and say, look at all these bad things they do. They're just evil. And yet God says in the Bible that by grace you are saved, not of works, lest anyone should boast, for it is the gift of God. If it's a gift, then he is a good giver. It says in Romans that no one comes to the Father unless he draws them to you. Jesus said to the thief on the cross, Jesus was being ridiculed, and the religious leaders were saying, if you are who you say you are, come off that cross. You healed others, heal yourself. And the thief on one side began hurling insults, and the other thief rebuked him, and he says, Rabbi, remember me when you enter your kingdom. And Jesus said to him, truly, I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise. And Jesus was either liar, a lunatic, or he was Lord of Lords and King of Kings. He was who he said he is. Earlier, before he went to the cross, the religious leaders had asked Jesus who he was. And he said, I forget the reference, but they asked him, how do you know Moses? You were only but 30 years old. And Jesus said, before Abraham was, I am. And they picked up stones to stone him because of blasphemy. He also said in John 10, he said, I and the Father are one. He says, my sheep hear my voice. They listen. They follow me. Those that are in my hand, I will not lose. Those that are in the Father's hand, he will not lose. And I and the Father are one. And so are those things true? Is that what Jesus said? Is that who he is? And do you believe that? You know, the thief on the cross never got the opportunity to get off that cross and undo his bad deeds with good deeds. He never got to show any other works. We don't have any other record of special prayers, blessings, things like that. All we know is that Jesus said, today you'll be with me in paradise. And that thief on the cross died after Jesus did when they broke the thief's legs so that he would suffocate and die. He died there on that cross. And that brings me hope for my ex-wife, Kendi, because she's not going to get the chance to go unearn her bad deeds, to undo things that maybe she did, to change her ways of alcoholism and drug addiction. She's 46 years old. And you can be angry at her. That's not her. It's a disease that took root in her mind and just consumed her. And if you're struggling with alcoholism or drug addiction, man, get some help. Get into Al-Anon. Get into Celebrate Recovery. Get into a recovery house. Because life is fleeting. Whether it's 14 days, 14 years, 114 years, it goes by so fast. You have one body, man. I broke mine, tore up my back. I can't get that back. I can't change that. But man, get some help. Turn to the Lord, man. Get some faith. Get some love. Love for yourself. You're worth it. Kendi's worth it. My kids are worth it. I'm worth it. You are worth it. Man, I was hard seeing somebody like that. And I know there were times where she just didn't feel good enough. You get into that pit and look at all the bad I've done. I can't change. People don't expect me to change. The judgment of people's eyes, the condemnation of their words. But you are worth it. She is worth it. Because for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever shall believe in him will not perish, but will have everlasting life. And though we die one day, we will live for eternity, one place or another, with God or apart from God.